Do you use Google or do you use DuckDuckGo?
I use Google.
Yeah. Google is superior in so many ways for like other search. There's also Bing, I think. Or what is it?
Bing is useful because it has the built-in AI. But Google's getting there with their Bard.
Okay.
Like, you know when you Google things now and at the top of Google it has the AI?
No.
Like if I Google largest tourist destination in America, it says generative AI is experimental. And then it shows me New York City is the most visited destination in the United States with over 50 million visitors each year.
Really?
And then I can ask follow-up questions to it. Like, what part is visited most? And it says Times Square.
I don't have that.
Manhattan is the most visited borough in New York City and also the most famous borough. And it's considered synonymous with New York City. Times Square is located in Midtown Manhattan. It's the busiest pedestrian area in the city.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that. Maybe I have to turn on AI search.
Probably.
Advanced search. I don't know how to... I should Google how to Google.
What was it? I think somebody was like, this is so painful. And it was like a screenshot of their dad's computer or something. And in Internet Explorer, he typed Google. Or not Internet Explorer, in Bing, he searched for Google and then opened Google.
Oh, really?
And then did his search.
I do that, actually. What's
the matter with you?
My default is DuckDuckGo for some reason. And I keep meaning to switch it back to Google. But, like, it automatically opens, but then I don't have time to like switch it. I'm just trying to Google something really fast. So then I'm like, I just Google, and then I go to Google, and then I search.
You Google in DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, on that. Hey, welcome to the No Kidding Podcast. I'm Andrew, doing a very normal intro these New Years.
And I'm Lisa. I'm the sister half of this podcast.
How long do you keep your Christmas decorations up, Lisa?
I keep them up until the first weekend in January.
So they're down right now.
Yeah.
So sure. You're flexing on me, is what you're saying.
Are yours not down?
No, I have a full Christmas tree. I have the lights on the house. They're on every night. We got some twinkle lights still on the windowsills, and I have a wreath. I got the whole thing, man.
So you're still living in La La Land. You're still in a whole nother universe.
Yeah, I mean, why is Christmas at the start of winter? It feels like it is synonymous with winter.
Well, I think for a lot of people, it is really like in the throes of winter once Christmas comes. But January is the coldest month of the year for most places. So, yeah. So here's the thing. So Christmas is...
Go ahead.
I don't know. I think Christmas is perfectly planned so that Christmas kicks off your winter, which is, I agree. Like, I'm on board with you there. But the new year kicks off like a new
year. I get you. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I don't know how to verbalize what I'm trying to say. Basically what I'm saying is just because you take down your Christmas decorations doesn't mean that the new year...
Doesn't mean I put away my Christmas spirit.
Exactly. Like, you're still in winter. You're still in your recovery period, your downtime, your settled ways, you're rejuvenating. You don't actually kick off your new year until spring. That's what the world has told us. Like, things don't start growing and renewing until spring. So, you know, don't be afraid to take down your Christmas decorations. You're still in winter. You have until spring to get your act together.
No, Lisa, no.
Just chill. Yeah.
I won't do it.
Because otherwise, you're not respecting the season. You're not, like, it won't be as appreciative next year. You'll be like, oh, like, it seems like just yesterday it was Christmas. Because it was for you, because you left your decorations up too long.
What if I want that? What if I want every day to feel like Christmas?
Well, of course you do, but it's just much more magical when you can save it for a certain time of year.
Well, here's another thing, Lisa. I don't know where to put my Christmas tree.
I totally feel you with that. I don't know where to put my Christmas tree either. It's still sitting in my, laundry room. But it's in a box, but it's in the laundry room, and I don't know where to put it. But it's there. It's down. And now I just have to be reminded of the fact that I have nowhere to put it every single day.
Yeah, same here. We've always had live trees as the thing. So, now I don't. This season, we got, a real tree. Or, no, we have a non-real tree. We have a plastic tree. And it's cool. I mean, we got a nice one. But, now what? I didn't plan for this stage. I just planned for it to be in my living room. Now where does it go?
I have a perfect solution for you. Okay, so this is what you do. You get a
storage unit.
You get crafty, and in your front foyer area. Okay,
I have a spring tree.
No, what you need is a bench to sit down and put your shoes on. So, before you leave the house. And so what you do is you build a bench that is the exact size of your Christmas tree box. And so you slide the Christmas tree box inside of this bench.
Wow.
It has a door that closes, and then you use the bench all year for sitting down, putting your shoes on. But at Christmas time, you lift up that little flap, you pull out your Christmas box, and you put up your Christmas tree, and nobody knows. Nobody knows that it's in there.
This seems like a TikTok or an Instagram.
Actually, I just thought of it off the top of my head. I've never seen that before.
Wow, very creative.
That is
What if I already
original.
have a bench in the foyer?
Is it long enough to fit your Christmas tree inside?
I don't know. That's a great question. I'll check it out. I think there might be some blankets or something in there, but...
Well, you don't need those. Get those out of there. Put those in a closet somewhere.
I like little hidden storage areas around my house that just have seasonal things. Like somebody's like, "Oh, what's in the foyer bin? Oh, a whole Christmas tree. Interesting." Not what I expected. It's a little
surprise. See, and then you can have Christmas all year round.
I like the idea of it being somewhat pop up. So you open it and the top just pops out and turns on.
Yeah. Sparkly lights start going.
Oh, little seasonal boost. Little Christmas in July boost.
Right, and then you could plug it in. Anytime you get sad, you just pull down that flap, look inside.
It's time for Christmas.
I missed you. Put it back up. Yeah.
That's really something, Lisa. I'll consider it.
It's an option. Yeah, I don't know what to do with mine either, honestly, because I actually have 2 Christmas trees. I have a regular size one, and then I have a miniature, a smaller one that's about 5 feet. And I got the 5-foot one because my house is, I think I mentioned this last time, but my house is too, the seating situation has gotten out of control, and I don't have room for a big tree. So I got the small tree to just at least have something up. But now I have 2 trees, and I don't know where to put that one. I don't know where to store it.
That's a conundrum.
It is. I don't know. I didn't think...
You're locked in now.
I know. I didn't think ahead. But, I mean, I could just stack it on top of the other one. But now it's I have boxes from the bottom of the floor all the way to the ceiling in my laundry room. I don't like that. I'm trying here's my creative idea. Just put wallpaper over them and pretend it's a wall. That's not a bad idea, actually.
Just have a false wall or something.
Or have instead of paper, but an actual wall that I just wheel back there. And it looks it's the room is shorter than it really is. Yeah, that seems
there you go.
A lot of work.
Just start losing room. Just start shrinking your rooms. People come in, they'll be like, "I thought your living room used to be twice this big," and you're like, "Oh well." Some of it became useful in other ways.
Already, I'm not shrinking anything. That's another thing. Is this year one of my goals for this year is to buy a couch, because I don't have a couch. I have 3 chairs in my living room because they've just been gifted to me. I have every piece of furniture pretty much in my house. I think every single piece of furniture in my house has been just given to me from people who are just getting rid of it,
Yeah.
I haven't gotten anything for me. myself. But, and I really want a couch, but it's very difficult to find something that fits in my space. Or like, I'm sure everybody has this problem when they're going to buy furniture for their home, to find that perfect piece of furniture.
To find it in my space?
That fits in your space. No, not my space. My space is out.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's out.
It's way out.
Still doing the in out.
I
never wrapped it up.
We never wrapped that up. It's going for the rest of the year.
Yeah, true.
What's in is in. Like, it being in is in.
Or out. Is out.
Or out. Right. Out is in for this year.
Oh.
Ooh.
Anyway.
I went meta on you.
Speaking of social media platforms that are out.
Yeah. Oh, you're leading me into something
No, just because we were talking about MySpace and then you went meta.
Oh. True. I know. I do have a social media rant, but I don't know if
how much time do we have?
I know.
Wait, you were about to launch into a rant last time. I can't remember what it was.
It's the same way. That's why I thought you were setting me up, because I was like, oh, does he remember
go
that
for
I was
it.
going to talk about that?
We have 20 minutes. Go.
Basically, all I wanted to say is that people keep talking about how bad social media is for people and how negative it is and how toxic it is and how we need to get rid of it and how it's ruining the world and all of these things. And I mean, fair point. There is negative things about it. Like, you can't deny that it has its downsides. But truthfully, I don't think it's like overall a bad thing. I don't think that it's, basically your social media experience is a direct correlation of your priorities, your interactions, and your interests. That's all it is. And if you're putting yourself out there into all these negative areas and connecting with all this negative space and people, then of course it's not going to be a positive experience for you. So curation, as we were talking last time, how curation was kind of out, but actually in this case, it's in. Like, you really need to curate your interactions online for your mental health, because it can be completely curated. I mean, maybe not 100%, because you're going to get recommended things here and there to see like, oh, are you interested in this? But if you think it's bad, say no. Like, no, I'm not interested in that. Don't show me that anymore. I don't want to see this person anymore.
I think that's kind of the crux of it, is that it's, like you were saying, it is a curation of your interests and stuff like that, but also potentially the interest of the algorithm that is feeding you they can pull you down a rabbit hole or into a bubble that isn't necessarily good for you. It's good for their retention of your attention.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they do play on your weaknesses as a human, like your curiosity, your need for seeing, maybe the negative sides of things, maybe falling into traps. It just gets you more and more upset or whatever. But just try your best to avoid those pitfalls. I don't know. I feel like if you have a negative experience and you hate it, it's usually not necessarily social media's fault. I mean, and this is where my unpopular opinion falls, is maybe start to look inwards a little bit and find out why you're drawn to the negative sides of social media and still allowing that to affect you the way that it is. Like, if it's affecting you so badly, maybe step away from it and figure out how you can curate it to be a more positive experience, because it is, in my opinion, and maybe it's wrong, but it's usually more about the user than it is about the platform.
Yeah.
And it's probably true with, anything in life that is a negative in your life. And as a human, it's hard to, I understand that, it is hard to put boundaries for yourself in some situations. You get the habit of it becomes an addiction, and it becomes harder and harder and harder to create those positive experiences in your life and curate it a certain way, because you're stuck in these certain patterns. But if it's such a negative thing, then that's probably something that you really need to, work on and focus on, and not necessarily blame social media. Even though I understand, social media can be a devil's advocate. Hey, come over here to the dark side sometimes. They will try to entice you.
Yeah.
But you do still have the responsibility of resisting and creating your own positive experience and just choosing nicer things and better things. I don't know. Because it's usually, when used right, it can be a really good experience and provide amazing opportunities and amazing relationships with people who are really nice and good, and like, you know, you can have connections with people you normally would never have connections with. Like, I have an incredible relationship with our cousin in Minnesota, which I would never have been friends with her to that extent. I feel like if social media didn't exist, like I would never have really spoken to her or talked to her. It's not like we see each other. I don't know. So that's just one minor example.
Yeah, I think one of the things is like people tend to forget like the positives of a technology and start to really focus on the negatives. Like people kind of forget how it was before they had social media. But I also think that like a lot of the negatives that arise are big time, like I think they're correlated to people's ability to like see their own biases and stuff. Because like the algorithm like really plays on that part of you. If you can't like understand that you're falling into a trap or falling into a pattern that's like habitual and that you're like vulnerable to, then it can cause a problem, which, like you said, to an extent is like your own responsibility. But I also think that like there is a decent amount of the population that just isn't in a good state to understand their own biases, like say young people that just haven't had enough time to like figure themselves out and like understand what it means. But at the same time, it can also be a good way to learn about it and see like, oh wait, I'm falling into this pattern and this isn't good for me. And maybe I should be somebody that isn't vulnerable to this kind of like psychological manipulation, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I totally understand that. And you're right of not. And I think like there does need to be more awareness for especially younger people and the responsibilities. The same with like getting into credit card debt or getting into a bad relationship, or, you know, like you're going to have to go through these negative experiences to learn from them and grow from them. And so there is some of that growth that's going to have to happen, and that pain that people are probably going to have to go through on social media to like find out that about themselves. It is part of a new experience that they have to learn to navigate, which, you know, like for our generation, we probably didn't really have to. Well, I guess we did, but we were older too. So, you know, it was probably a little bit easier to navigate. But I don't know. I know a lot of people my age that still struggle with that, like still are struggling on social media to find a good balance of it and find a way to make it a positive experience. But I don't know, like I just get really frustrated when, and I do kind of take it personally sometimes because, and I certainly don't use social media that much, but I find the benefits of it, you know, probably more than most people my age, or at least that I'm surrounded with. And I get a lot of hate about it. And I get a lot of hate about like, like anybody who uses social media is, you know, it's not good and everybody just needs to get rid of it and it's just terrible and just so much negativity around it. And I understand that there should be some negativity, of course, like with anything that's going to affect people in such a drastic way. But at the same time, I'm like, there's so much good though. Like you're not focusing on the good. You're only focusing on the bad. And there's so many good things that are involved in it and can come from it. So I guess that's my plight is like, please just like find out a little bit more about the positive side too, because it's not all negative, and everybody who uses it isn't some vapid, horrible person who's just like looking for clout and looking for like, I don't know, like everybody who uses social media is narcissistic, and everybody who uses social media is just trying to take advantage of you. And everybody who's doing this has like, who cares what they have to say and who cares about this? And like, it's no good for you and nothing good can come from it. It's like that is one view, I guess, you know, and that could be true of like, if you're constantly following people who are just like negative all the time and just me all the time and adding no value to the world. Sure. But there are so many people on there that offer real knowledge, who offer so many creative ideas, who offer friendship and love and spread positivity. And like, I don't know, like I just feel like if you don't like it, then don't go on it, but don't shame people for using it, because there are people who can use it responsibly and good in a good way.
Yeah, and like when you say like adding no value to the world, it's kind of like that's kind of just like up to a particular person's opinion. And like,
True.
obviously most things are going to not, like, most things, most people won't care about, if that makes sense. And like,
yes.
that doesn't mean that there's no value. It just means that there's no value to you. So like, that's one of the things that you can like use the good things about social media, like filtering people out and stuff. Hey, look, if, you know, such your aunt's content of all her dog photos, 75 blurry dog photos a day, is not your vibe, then just like unfollow her or like mute her or something. Don't look at it because that's not for you. But maybe her neighbor is like, oh man, I love all your dog photos.
Exactly.
And they're like constantly sharing them and having this like really great relationship that just, you know, you are seeing and being annoyed by is not really relevant. But have you seen Galaxy Quest?
I've heard of it. What is it?
It's kind of like it's a parody movie. It's a parody movie of
of Star Trek.
Of Star Trek,
yes, we saw like the first, maybe like the first season or the second, maybe one or two.
You might be thinking of Orville.
That's
it's a
what I'm
show,
thinking
or
of.
it's a movie.
Okay, no, yeah, I'm thinking of Orville.
Yeah. But yeah, it's actually surprisingly good for a parody movie. And one of my favorite things about that is there's like an alien race in that movie that can't lie, or they don't even understand lying. It's almost like a utopian society, right? Like they don't have deception. And you think about that as like, wow, this is amazing. And they kind of come across in the movie as being like this almost like beautifully innocent race. And like, that's true to an extent, but at the same time, the whole movie, they're basically like taken advantage of and, like basically stepped on because they don't have the like defensive ability to deal with a deceptive person or somebody lying to them. And so that is almost like what I think of when I think of social media, because it's like, I think people want a utopian situation where like nobody's ever taken advantage of or told about crazy conspiracies that they're going to get sucked into or rage baited into arguing over something pointless online. But at the same time, if we completely lived in a world devoid of that, it would just take one person being the worst to like basically we would have no defenses against that because we wouldn't understand it.
Very true.
And so I think at a certain point, like we want to understand this behavior and then grow out of it, if that makes sense, rather than just being like, well, this sucks. I hate that everyone's angry now. And part of that is the growth, right? If we can like wrestle with that and then build a society that's tolerant, but armored against it, if that makes sense. Yeah,
find a way to exist with this new reality because you have to adapt to it. It's not going anywhere. And also, like you said, you can curate, you know, a very like a bubble living in this social media world where you don't interact with any of that negativity. But to your point, it's not necessarily the best idea to do that, but if it's better for your mental health at the time, like if you can't handle these negative aspects or like these different opinions or these different worlds, then by all means do that if it's helpful for you at that moment. But don't necessarily write it off either because like you said, it's growth to be able to coexist with people who have differing opinions and not let it completely derail your entire life and affect you in such a way that you can't even control yourself. You want to be able to understand and empathize and grow from all of these other experiences that maybe you weren't. Now, I understand the argument that we were never meant to know as much as we know now about everything that's going on in the world. Like everybody that has an opinion. We weren't meant to like have total exposure to all of these things because it's overwhelming for us. And I understand that argument because it can be overwhelming when you really sit down and think about everything that's happening in the world and everything that's going on with all these different people and everybody's thoughts. It's like a lot to process. Like your brain's not necessarily, you know, primed for that.
The human brain evolved like for however many millions of years, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, all this technology crops up, and we have to adapt.
In a very fast, in a very fast world. So I get that. Like there is that level of like, hey, let's scale it back and not maybe pay attention to every single thing that's happening on the internet. But what I'm saying is, maybe still, it's also a good thing to open your world up a little bit and find out more about things that you don't know about, or like cultures you don't know about, or differences of opinion and see why they think that way, or be curious, not necessarily in a defensive way or in a negative way. Just be curious and maybe find out about it. And if you still don't agree with it, then that's fine.
Yeah. I think as to how we grow from having this in our lives, I think I guess the biggest step that I feel like we need to take as a society is perhaps being able to teach the next generation that this isn't your whole life. I feel like it being as big of a deal as it is in our modern day, it's just kind of all of the conversation and everything. The conversation has to take place online because that's where it is, man. That's where it's happening. And I think I think it'd be great if the next generation kind of learned to love the internet and learn from the internet and reach out into the world and see a bunch of different things and be able to connect with people that they wouldn't normally be able to connect to, that is maybe more like them than people they would find in their local community. But at the same time, not be totally absorbed by that and make it their whole life. That is whatever is happening as a global society online is what they're interested in, because that's by nature just always going to be so sporadic, so low attention threshold, going to be so unable for them to actually meaningfully affect in any way, that they're just going to instantly become angry and unfulfilled in a way that I think a lot of our society is becoming, because it just feels like I have to pay attention to whatever the big issue is online this week, and I can't do anything about it. So my only other option is to get sad or mad. Yeah. And then to feed that back into the loop.
And take it out on the people that are now around me too. Right. And another part of navigating it is understanding and learning that most things that are out there on the internet, most things are not the whole story. And there is no reason to have a reaction to something until you learn more about don't just take one person's opinion or one article or one whatever and just get an emotional reaction to it without diving deeper into it. And also same with just influencers and stuff like that. Their lives are not what you see on the internet every day, it's learning that not most things that you're seeing on the internet or on social media or whatever, it's not the whole picture. It's not that deep. It's not as serious as it's coming across, because they're showing you the worst of the worst, or the best of the best, or it's always the extreme, and it's not necessarily the whole picture and the true reality. And to learn more about it if you want to learn more about it, but just certainly don't take everything at face value.
A lot of the discussion has become whatever the last person said, and that's all they see. It's like that Bo Burnham song, That Funny Feeling, where he's just talking about a bunch of modern culture stuff, and he sings a lyric about Bugle's take on race, where it's who cares what Bugle thinks about race? Right. But it's just that's a thing that's going to be a tweet, and everybody's going to be oh my God, can you believe Bugle said this?
I know.
It's what the...
And that is a concern I get. So it's weird because I separate, I guess, my viewpoint of what social media technically in my mind is versus problems in the world and news and all of that, because I feel on the one hand, the people who are saying all of this stuff about how social media is so bad and it's creating this negative world and all of this stuff are the same people who don't go on social media, but then they listen to the news 24/7 and get really worked up and mad and angry at that. And it's well, that's not necessarily good for you either if you're taking it at face value. Yeah,
it didn't really start with the internet. It's just the internet is the latest and most effective delivery method of globalization.
And I can agree that the need to be, because it's instant gratification, instant upload, instant whatever, that side of it is starting to get challenging when, you can't really trust everything that you see, because there's not enough time for the people who are uploading it to actually research it and dive into it and journal it to actually get the full story before they post something that's going to have a reactive, So I think just knowing that there's no way that this person who's posting about an event that literally just happened 2 seconds ago is going to have the entire full story. If you have that in mind when you read it, it will have less of an impact, I feel. on you. But again, it's just something that has to be navigated and learned. So my rant is over. I get it. I get why people don't like it, but I also want to come from a positive perspective and just say, just give it a chance, because it's not going anywhere, and there is a way to make it a more positive experience.
Thankfully, Lisa, I think lots of people are giving it a chance.
Well, I know, but I'm talking about those that are like total haters. Total haters of like the internet and social media.
Yeah, and they're posting about it on social media.
And they're posting about it on social media. I don't know. And part of it makes me sad, because there are people in my life who refuse to use it and refuse to get into it, and are just like, what do they call it when you just never want to do what other people want to do? It's called something.
Oh, it's counterculture kind of people that just like, they don't want to do it because it's the thing. Like people who are like, I just have a flip phone and they're like so proud about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, I get it. Like I used to be that person, like where somebody would love a show and I'm like, oh, everybody likes that show. I'm not watching that show. You know, like I've been there.
But I think that's a different kind of wisdom. If you know that you're not ready to take on whatever the internet is going to throw at you, or even in the case of like somebody who has a flip phone, what a smartphone is going to throw at you. Like if you just know that that's going to mess up your life and be a hurdle that you have to face and you're not ready to do it, then I mean, respect. It's fine. You don't have to be on the internet, but
totally,
you know.
Yeah, like do what's good for you and your health and stuff. Yeah, it's true. Just know that, there are good people. If you want to have a nice chat, if you want to have a positive interaction, just, come over to our side. Come to my side, because I have a pretty positive. And
I could say personally, it could be difficult even from other people. Like, I feel like the world is so cognizant of like all of the attention grabbing and confusion that social media and like our modern technology creates, and they're like, oh, this is so bad, but then they'll be so upset when I don't respond to a text message in 5 minutes.
Right.
And it's like, guess what, I turn off my phone sometimes. It's like, that's crazy, how can you do that?
What? Yeah,
how disrespectful.
They've evolved
and I'm like, well,
just enough to where it's going to be inconvenient in some way, but just not all the way. But I mean,
set boundaries, guys.
Set boundaries. That's the thing. It's like, I have people who get not mad, but just like disappointed when I don't post anything for a while on my platforms, because they're like, that's how I keep up with you. That's how I keep up with what you're doing. And I'm like, no, I totally get that. Especially, like older people, like uncles, aunts. If I don't, they're like, are you okay? Is everything okay? I want to know what's going on. And like,
it's like, look guys, I'm just taking a breather.
They get to have a peek into your world that like a lot of parents crave, parents don't. And past generations, parents would just call their kids all the time, like, what's going on?
And let me tell you, if you don't post on social media, that can still happen.
Oh, that can't. Well, right. That's what I'm saying. But
you're like, here it is. Here's my channel. Here's my outlet. Go ahead. Take a look.
Right. They still have like access to your life with still giving you space. I don't know. But
these are good problems to have.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Do it for your mom.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Do it for your mom.
Everybody call your mom. Tell her what's up.
Yeah, call your mom. Show her what's going on in your life. Anyways, so that's all I had on that. But speaking of like positivity, I started this last year, but then I kind of forgot about it. Somehow I wasn't consistent and I got sidetracked. So I'm restarting it, and it's 40 days to a joy-filled life. And I recommend it to people who, it's hard though. Like it's kind of hard, but it's basically a journal. It's like you would call it a devotional. Like every day you wake up and there's a day, you read this and then you answer these questions. So it's like a devotional / journal, I guess. But anyways, It's focused on just having positive thinking and bringing more joy into your life. Anyway, and it's been a good, just constant reminder of positive thinking and positive ways to implement different, lighter aspects into your life to sort of get rid of negative stuff and bring in more positive stuff. But I will say that it's hard if you are not used to or good at, like introspection and like really thinking about, how to answer these questions. I'm trying to think of like one of the questions. What are 4 ways that you have grown this past year, for example? And for me, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's like hard to think about like the positive side sometimes because you're always focused on, not always focused on negative things, but it's easier to come up with negatives than it is positives.
Yeah.
And so
I think
you do really have to think about it.
Journaling can really help with just like recontextualizing how you think about your life in a more positive way.
Anyway, if anybody's interested in that, it's called 40 Days to a Joy-Filled Life.
Sounds suspiciously like a resolution, Lisa.
No, it's not a resolution. It's just, I want to kickstart the year with some positivity.
It's in this year. All. Positivity is in.
Positivity is in. Joy-filled lives are in. I'm also reading a murder mystery, so that's not necessarily positive, but it's, it's fine.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Stay positive, guys. That's our message for today.
That's the basic tenet. And then all that about social media.
That's it. Yeah. Because, we're just kidding. It's not that deep.
We're all just, it was a surprisingly deep little valley in the No Kidding podcast, but don't worry. We're back on surface level. Take a breath and have a good day.
Yeah. That's right. And a good life.
That got deep again, Lisa.
That got too deep, but it ended on a positive note. I said positive way too many times in this episode.
You can count it. Get the transcript.
Yeah, true.
So long, very well, pip, pip, cheerio, we'll be back soon.
Hopefully the audio doesn't pick up my fan.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I have the same thought about my 3D printer.
Is it running right now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Who cares? I don't know why people care so much about background audio.
It's audio texture.
Audio texture. We need a little bit more audio texture in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more realistic.
I think that's what's going to be in this year. More raw, content.
That's right. More realism. We won't even edit this episode. Just kidding. We're definitely going to do that.
I love you. Bye-bye.